Hello, everybody. I guess the first things I wanted to touch base on is that with this training, we're not trying to get you to do anything more than you really are already doing for the most part. We're not trying to take up your time running the website or get you to do anyone else's job for them. Essentially, we want to get you comfortable enough working with these tools that you'll be able to post content and make edits in the same amount of time it would take you to email the changes to us. And so I guess first of all, I'm gonna walk you through Foxbright and how that all works. Bill should have you guys set up and logged in from the sound of it, and you'll see a screen that's kind of just like this. On the left-hand side, you'll see different menus, and then there's another menu up here. We're gonna go through those, and hopefully get you pretty well oriented. And then we're gonna talk about updating the directory, updating content on pages, and then publishing news stories, and then we'll quickly go over the calendar and how to use Google Calendars, because everyone should be set up with a Google Calendar, with maybe the exception of the Career Center. I don't exactly remember how you guys run your calendar system. But okay, so firstly, like I said, the menu system is over here. I'm going to start you out with working in the staff directory. So if you click this button up top, that'll take you over to the staff list. So to add new staff members, you're going to click on this green button over here. And then you'll enter the first name and last name of that person you're adding in. You'll enter their email. If you have their phone number, enter that. Make sure you switch this over to display in staff directory. Otherwise, they won't show up. And so you'll kind of be stuck in a feedback loop. And then in terms of their jobs, this green button down here in staff responsibilities will open up one of these menus, and then you'll add, so let's say lower elementary, computer science, probably doesn't exist, but you get the idea, art teacher. If you don't see a department or a position and you need it added, you need to contact me or Bill, and then we can add that in for you. It's because you guys have a limited experience, your permissions are limited, just to kind of make things easier on you and to make sure you're not accountable for anything that you're not comfortable with. So that's the basics of that. And it's going to be a similar thing. You hit save, and then it'll publish to every directory on the website, the things on your page, as well as the main staff directory. The same thing, basically, if you need to make edits. So if someone moves to your building, or if someone changes their last name, anything like that, you'll just click on their name. So let me back up for 1 second. If you're looking for someone, you're going to use these search tools up here. If it's easier for you to just find your building, let's say lower elementary, let's say administration, we'll search, and then that'll show us all these people. So let's say we needed to change Carly's name. You could change any of that here, email as well, office phone number, etc. So if she changed to a new building, or if she was assigned to an additional building, you could add a second staff responsibility set. As far as what's primary, that doesn't really matter. It doesn't affect us the way we use the system, so you can kind of disregard this column. And that's really the basics of using the staff directory. So I'm going to pause for a minute and see if anybody has any questions. Great. Next thing we're going to look at is making changes to your web pages. So you'll click on the web page drop down over here, and then click on page tree. So you should all have access to your school. And if you click this little plus button, that'll extend that menu even a little further. And there's a couple of pages that you'll see underneath your school that are there. If they're grayed out, it's because they are currently hidden, which means they're not live, they're not accessible by anyone on the internet. And so, for example, the getting ready for 4th grade would need to be changed to getting ready for 3rd grade, and so on and so forth. They're kind of archives from last year's school system. So you can, if you want to build a new page, you can work on one of these, or I can show you how to, if you click on this button. Some of you will have permission to add a page. Currently, I don't think anybody does, but if that's something you want to do, I could give you that permission if you're comfortable working in that level. So let's just click over to the school page, and that'll open a editable version of the page. You'll see as I hover over things, these drop-down menus will pop up, but you can't actually click them. It's just to kind of show you how the site would work if it was live. And then the next thing is these big purple boxes that show up. Those will be wrapped around your content areas. Your content areas everything's kind of divided into sections. And the reason that we do that is so it's easier to move things around. Let's say, for example, we had to take down the Montessori site for a certain amount of time. We could click hide on that, and then it would just be invisible. It wouldn't post to the site, but then we could easily just click show and bring it back to life. And so anytime you add new content, you're going to want to go down and click on this gray box for add block. Rich text editor is going to be your default. And then you will be presented with this add rich text menu. All right, sorry about that. Had a little technical difficulty. So there is an option. You probably noticed it on some of these sections here, where if you click on them and they'll expand. That's how you're going to create what they call expand and collapse blocks. So if you click that, you can then add a title, and it'll show up just like the one I just showed you, or this one down here where it's a yellow box and then it has to be clicked on. It's a way to kind of add content that maybe everyone doesn't need, but it also calls out specific information for a specific audience. But apart from that, most of these tools you're going to be familiar with from just basic word processing. Up here, you have, what do we call this? Here we go. Up here, you have your editing tools. So there's cut, copy, paste as plain text, paste with word formatting, undo, and redo. Now, anytime you paste anything, you're going to want to use this button here, the paste as plain text button, and then paste it into that first. Otherwise, what it's going to do is, let me just give you an example. So I copied something from Gmail and I just pasted it. And what can happen, because it's from Gmail, there's not a whole lot of drag over effects, but when you paste things into here, what it's actually doing is writing code. And so if you click this button, which you don't need to do, there's weird little artifacts and stuff that can make your text read a little bit wonky and your layout a little bit wonky. So if you do that on accident and you want to just keep working, you can always highlight everything and click this remove formatting button, and that'll take care of it. But try to remember to use the paste as plain text button. You're not going to use really any of these tools. These are your linking tools. So there is just a general link button, all pretty straightforward if you want to put in a URL, or you can also create a link to a page on the site by just kind of clicking through and then selecting the About page and hit OK. There's a link to File, and this is going to open up your File menu. Now, this is a kind of involved process, but anytime you want to link anything to a file or upload an image like that, you're going to get a menu that's pretty similar to this. Straight away, if you already have your file uploaded, you can just find it using the search tools, but most likely you're going to be adding a new file. So you'll click down here on Add File. Find your category, so whether it's a document or an image. Try not to upload, everyone by default has a My Files category. Try not to put things in there just because then it's not something I can access, so I can't make updates to it or anything like that. So let's say it's a doc. We'll select a new file. And let's say we're going to put this fire drill in. Now, as far as naming conventions, with the exception of drill reports, if you could do me a favor and put the date in this format, so 2016, and then the month, and then the actual numerical month date, and then a dash before every document you put in, that just helps me keep the archive organized. So let's say this is fire drill FECC. That's going to help out a lot. And then the other thing is description, and part of that has to do with ADA compliance and making sure that for anyone who has any kind of a disability, they get as much information from the website automatically as possible. So generally, it's just got to be really basic. You can probably take the date out of that and just say, you know, FECC fire drill, and then hit OK. You'll find it in this list, but it'll also, anytime you add a file, it automatically puts the URL up here, so you don't have to find it again. And then just click OK, and there's your link. There's also the link to email. That's all straightforward. You just put an email address. If you want to have it pop up with a specific subject and a body for anyone who's writing the email, you can do that. But that's not really necessary. So you just put the email in there, and then it'll make it an email link. These are going to be your insert media tools. So let's say we want to put in a picture here. And then we'll go to Browse Images, add a file. Okay. I'm not going to do all this just because it's something. Now, as you can see, it's monstrous. So the main thing to keep in mind for uploading pictures is that these things right here are going to give you your pixel size. You don't need to worry about that. Either you're going to stick with percentages. So say you want it to stretch across the entire width of the content area, you'll just do 100%. Clear the height and hit OK. And then as you can see, it kind of fits right into that area. If you want it to be smaller, you can always right-click and go to Image Properties. Let's put it at 25% width. Also change the alignment, put it on the right side, and hit OK. So now it's smaller. You can kind of wrap text around it. You can also click and drag this if you want to do that. The same goes for your other content. No, actually it does not. Sorry, I get a little mixed up sometimes because I work in Google Docs a lot as well. And you can make that a link too if you wanted to, so on and so forth. These tools you also will not use in the middle. or really any of this stuff. Down here, your basic text formatting, bolding, underlining, italics. You can add in numbered lists, bulleted lists. I wouldn't really use block quotes. But the main thing, your biggest asset rather, is going to be this drop down over here for formatting. So say we wanted to change this to make it a title format. You would just click anywhere in the paragraph. Don't highlight the whole section because you can't just change certain parts within a section. Part of that, again, goes back to this source code that it's writing. But click on the page, or the section, and then change it over here to page title, and that whole section will change. If you want to just change it back, then you just change it back. Or we can change it back over to paragraph. So that's going to allow you to kind of create more complicated, richer content reasonably quickly. Does anyone have any questions about that? Okay. And when you're done editing your area, if you're going to click on this omnidirectional arrow, sorry, and then just drag it to wherever you want it on the page. If you want to put it all the way up at the top, you can drag it right up to the top. For now, I'm going to delete it because we don't need it. And then you would click Ready to Publish. Now, it's not going to publish automatically. An email will get sent to myself and to Bill, and then we'll have to go in and publish it for you. That allows us just to kind of make sure everything is where it needs to be, make sure that there aren't any strange formatting things that the system automatically put in unbeknownst to you or I. And then I can just double check that real quick and make sure everything publishes and we're live and we're good and our links are all straight. So the other thing you're going to see that you have access to is under this district section. Just kind of follow that trail as far down as you can. You can only click on blue pages to edit them. It's drill reports. So to add a drill report, I took one out, so I'm just going to show you how to add that in super quick. Okay, once this page opens, click on your content area and then hit edit. As you can see, this kind of all becomes second nature pretty quickly. And then we're going to put, let's see, what's it file for? Let's just mark it for today for right now, and I'll make the adjustment later because I don't have it pulled up. August 26th, 2016. This little feature here, so we're not probably going to upload many media videos or anything like that. But there's also these interesting little shapes you can put in. They're not super easy to work with, so you might want to stay away from those. But I generally use these, which are called snippets. And it allows you to just kind of indicate to people what kind of file they're opening. Specifically, if it's an external link, so it's something that's going to take them away from the website, it's nice to note that. In this case, it's going to be a PDF. So then I will highlight all of that section and add a file. Add a file here, select category, and this is my mistake. I meant to put in, there's a separate category for drill reports, but select a new file, and here's your file. Okay. And there you have your drill reports are up to date and everything's all kosher and copacetic. And then we just hit save and ready to publish. So that's the basics of how that system works. The other place you're going to be using that system is with our news articles. Now, news articles are one of the new features of the website that we're really trying to make a use of. So if we click over to the district news, here we have our eBlast feed. So it has our links to the eBlast PDFs. Or if we are on our Ferndale Schools homepage, we can scroll down here and here's our news feed. So anytime that there's an update, a news article that goes up, that'll be right here. As well as every school has its own news page that's nested on this side. And FHS specifically has theirs right on the homepage. Not every school does at this point, but it's something we're kind of working with the other admins on how they want to prioritize that stuff. But the one really nice feature here is the share tool. Anybody who clicks on that will be given the opportunity to share a news article automatically with their Facebook, through their Twitter, through an email, or just with the direct link. And that really allows us to promote the new and exciting things that we're doing at Ferndale Schools. And just the heartwarming things for the community in an effort to try and get as many people inside and outside of the district to know what we're doing and to see how we make a difference and how we're kind of improving our public perception of the district. So that's a really important tool. And so when we're creating those articles, when teachers or admins or whoever is creating those articles and they send them over to you, you would just go over here, click on the news page or the news section, add news article, and that's going to pop up this new window. You'll only have access to your section, so click that, and then we would put in an article title. Your publish date, so we would publish that today. And then your archive date, we automatically just set to archive after a year. If it's an event specific thing where you're trying to put a news article that says we're going to have, let's say, Popsicles with Principals is coming up, and we want it to archive and go off the news feed that next day, then you would set it to that date. If you're posting now for a future event, or if you're posting, let's say, on next Monday for an event that happened on Wednesday, but you want it to display as having happened on Wednesday, then you can use this display date section, and that's the date that'll actually show up on the article, even though it got posted later. So let's say we want it to post for the 25th, you would do that. You do want to make sure you toggle this headlines button over here to display in news headlines. Otherwise, it's not going to show up. So if you create an article, you can't find it anywhere, that's probably going to be where your issue is. So just open this up, switch that over to yes. Easy peasy. You can add documents. Like say you have a flyer or a form that you want people to fill out, you can do it there. And then all of your content is going to go right into the summary area. Because we're not usually going to be posting articles that are long enough to merit people clicking over to a separate page to read more about it, we're not going to use the details section really. If it's something where it's coming up too long in that area, then Bill or I can make that copy and paste to take care of it. So for your purposes, I wouldn't worry about making that decision. Just kind of slows you down. Slows me down for sure. If it's an article that we're going to be posting to multiple sections, say it was a music article, and so you're posting something about the elementary school, or let's say the middle school orchestra performed, you want it to also show up in the music section. For those of you who have access to it, you can click on that in the shared on section. It would pop up over here, and then you can post the same news article to multiple sections. And then you would hit save, and it would show up on all those places across the website. So by clicking List Articles, and we click over to Upper Elementary News, there we see Secretaries Get Trained. That's our article right there. So if you need to make any changes to it, you can click on it right here, so on and so forth. Okay. Does anyone have any questions about how that works, or maybe any questions about why we're doing it? You guys are really easy to work with. Thanks. That's all that. So let me just pull up how to work with calendars in case anyone's not familiar with that. That'll just take a second. And okay. So to add a new event to your calendar, click on this black grid and click on the calendar tab. So this is from your email account. We don't have any calendars in here, but so just click on wherever your section is going to be. If you want to expand your view, you can do that over here. So let's say we want to put an event for September, end of September. So we'll click over to September, click on the 22nd, and it's really this easy. You just put in homecoming, which is not at that date, but you get the idea. And then click Edit Event. That's going to open up this for you. Now you can create events that last multiple days. You can also have an event that's set to run all day long. If you want to put in a specific time, you can put that in here. Now it did that by default. Let me discard that one. If you want to look at the week view, you can also click specifically on the time slot. And if I had other, let me click over this super quick. If I had any other calendars that were there, then you'd be able to see using the day view what other events are already going on at that time. Since you're going to be doing mostly just straight up entry stuff and not kind of planning schedules, it's not that big of a deal for most of what you're doing. But or maybe that's not true, honestly. I don't know. I shouldn't make assumptions. Right. Event. So you click on this calendar section right down here, and that's how you're going to select your calendars. Google, I think, automatically puts it in your personal calendar. If you wanted to post to the calendar for, say, the lower elementary, you would click on that, and then it's going to post there, which is going to feed it into the website on the lower elementary page. We also have a district calendar that posts all the school events as well. And so all that stuff kind of gets fed in. If there's any extra description you want to add, like say it's for a field trip and students need to bring their own lunches, anything like that, you can put that into the description area and it'll show up as well. And the other thing is the location. So when you start typing in here, so let's say our event is at Ferndale High School. If we start typing Ferndale High School, it's going to pull everything with that name from Google Maps. And so if we click on that, then it makes it a lot easier for anyone who follows our calendar or goes to the website and finds it. They can just click, it creates a link and they can click on that and it gives them maps and directions and all kinds of things like that. So say it's for a sporting event and it's going to be at Berkeley High School. That's kind of just a tool to make things easier on everyone. And that's really the basics of that. So I don't think there's probably any questions. There hasn't been any on anything else, but only other thing is make sure your visibility is public. One last thing, if you need any help, feel free to ask myself or Bill. And then over on the right side, when you're on FoxBright, if you click on the home menu, there's a list of different guides to kind of figure things out yourself if I'm not making sense or if you just can't get a hold of me. And then the other thing is there's a document that I emailed out, and I will re-email it and make sure anyone who got missed on that email gets it. And it's this one that Bill kind of printed for you. Now, it's a lot more useful as a digital tool because on the left side with the outline, you can kind of just find the section you're looking for and click to it. So say you needed to update a document, click on Documents, and that will walk you through that whole process. So I'll make sure everybody has that. But again, feel free to ask us, and we really appreciate any help you guys can give us with providing this resource to the community. Yeah. Oh, you know what? One last thing. Sorry. Let me show you the images and files system. So say you need to make an update, now that I just pulled it up on that menu. So if you click over to list files, that's going to show you everything that's in that directory. So say you posted say you posted a drill report already, but something was wrong with it and you need to replace it with a new one. You can find that file with the list files tab and then open it up and then just select new file. And that'll allow you to replace that file in the archive on the website. And then that updated file will post to everywhere on the website that the link is. So rather than erasing a link and rewriting it, that'll actually not only keep less redundancy within our online archives, but it also makes sure that that link, that file, and all the links to it on the website are up to date all the time, rather than having to change multiple links. So that's the only other thing. So thanks again. Thanks a lot. And I'm sure I'll be working with everyone over the coming school year.